Oh, you know what though? When it picks up the audio that when they're playing songs, then it tells me I'm doing a copy. Have copyright issues.
Oh yeah.
So I have to make sure.
Yeah, you can play the songs, but it's...
No, you can't have them on your YouTube videos though.
No, songs that you play.
Covers?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do covers of a song if I play it on the guitar. Yeah. But when it's the recording, you can't. They tell you that you have a copyright violation. Then they offer to edit the audio out for you, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So let's see if it's working.
We'll be here December 1st, 4th, so...
I hope it works.
Yeah. Let's see, I'll turn it down here, and then... Is it... Well, first, make sure I can hear it.
Well, I haven't put the microphone up yet. You want me to put the microphone up? Because it'll just redo the music. Yeah, leave it.
Just so I can hear if it's coming through the... What's it?
Well...
Yeah, okay. I'll turn it down here.
Well, put it on, and let me just hear how it hears when I open up the mic, because that's a little test, and nobody will know.
They gave us a free bag of dog food.
Ooh.
And he stole 2 treats, but that was okay. So we have an extra one.
Aww.
And she was super nice too. She said that they get to taste the wild too.
Ooh.
So we could look up her, and she was super nice too. And they have this thing where you press the little button, and when he was having a little dog fight, you just press
it didn't
press the button.
register anything.
And it will,
Thanks, baby. Is the tea ready?
Oh, I forgot to do it. Let me do it.
Thank you, baby. Put your belly button away. It'll cover his program if I open you up, which I was going to do. But I think that the CPU overrides farming. It's still buffering. I don't think we're going to have time for me to try to figure it out right now. Huh?
You just go ahead and talk there.
Okay. La 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 la. I don't even know if I'm getting audio. It's buffering. Damn it. us. Aloha, beautiful people. Thank you for tuning in to KPFZ. I'm your hostess for the next hour, Laureen Lee. I'm in the studio with my good friend Alan Markowski, and we're working on bringing a live stream live in the studio at KPFZ live stream on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is Quantum Energy Shift, and check it out, see how it's working. We're still working out some of the kinks, but we're hoping that it's gonna just get better and better. So that's what we're doing here. We're also testing out some technology so that we can bring some special guests in from other countries that I've been wanting to get on the air to talk to you, very knowledgeable people about holistic health and energy and all the great things that I like to talk to you about. And so we're also working on that too. So if you hear things clinking around or oopses or ahs or whatever, then maybe we're making progress. Hey, you never know. But in any case, I am here to answer your holistic health and energy questions. And you can call in live at the KPFZ studio if you want to be on the air. The number here is 707-263-3435. And I'll take any questions. Pretty open about that. And I like to talk about whatever's on your mind, whether you have a personal health situation that you want to ask a question about, or whether you have some interesting information or comments about energy or quantum physics or any of my favorite topics. I'm here to listen and also to answer your questions. So again, the number here is 707-263-3435. We'll be in the studio for a full hour until 6 p.m. Pacific time. And if you are online, you can check out the live stream video on YouTube's Quantum Energy Shift channel. And you can also listen online, which if you're listening online, you already know that. If you're local and you're listening on the radio, you probably don't care about that. But hey, just throwing it out there, it's definitely a possibility. And if you visit our website at www.kpfz.org, there are a couple of links to choose from where you can listen to the show or the radio station, any of our shows actually, online. If you'd like to become a member or a underwriter, you can call the office phone at 707-263-3640. And we are community-supported radio, so we do appreciate your contribution in any way, whether you want to volunteer or make a donation, become a member or an underwriter. So those are some options and ways that you can help. Also, if you don't want to talk on the radio and you still have questions, you can write to me on my email at quantumenergyshift@yahoo.com, or you can go to my website, which is Laureen, Laureen Lee.com. I have contact forms there that you can send a question through, and all of that's a community service or a public service, and so I just do that as a volunteer, and so you can always get your health questions answered by either calling in here or sending me an email or sending a form through my website at Laureen-Lee.com. And so today, I guess I'll start the show by chatting with you a little bit about a couple things that have been on my mind. But don't be shy. If you want to call in, just go ahead. And we always have plenty of time to talk about whatever I want to talk about. So I like to talk about what you want to talk about. So our number is 707-263-3435 if you want to call in. And in the meantime, I have an article from one of mine and Alan's favorite websites, which is called Green Med Info. Is that right, Alan? That's one of your faves too, right? Or no? What was yours?
Natural News.
Oh, Natural News. Okay, so check out Green Med Info if you haven't before. Well, they have some really cool stuff. One of the things that I like is they have a giant database of studies for alternative and energy medicine and herbal medicine and natural medicine, so it's really cool. But there's an article that came out last week called "Astounding Number of Medical Procedures Have No Benefit, Even Harm." and that's based on a Journal of American Medical Association study. So let me just read you some of the article, and I'll throw my comments in wherever. What if millions of medical diagnoses, procedures, and treatments were based on, at best, questionable scientific evidence, but still performed daily the world over in the name of saving patients' lives or reducing their suffering? A new Journal of American Medicine review indicates this may be exactly what's happening. A concerning new review published in the Journal of the American Medical Association online ahead of print on the topic of overuse of medical care, i.e., health care for which risk of harm exceeds its potential for benefit, finds that many commonly employed medical procedures to which millions are subjected each year are based on questionable, if not also in some cases non-existent evidence. According to the review, which was co-authored by researchers from some of the country's most esteemed medical institutions, medical overuse can also be defined as a healthcare practice that patients would forego consenting to it if fully informed. They elaborate further on the definition of medical overuse. Medical overuse encompasses overdiagnosis, which occurs when individuals are diagnosed with conditions that will never cause symptoms, and overtreatment, which is treatment targeting overdiagnosed disease or from which there is minimal or no benefit. Clearly, when information is lacking or withheld concerning the true risks and benefits of a medical procedure, the principle of informed consent is violated. And this is, no doubt, a far too common occurrence in today's medical landscape where market forces rather than scientific evidence drive the medical consensus that determines the standard of care. In fact, there's reason to believe that the published biomedical literature is so corrupted by industry influence and publication bias that the entire ivory tower of evidence-based medicine, which Kelly Brogan, MD, recently described as a house of cards, is actually based on nothing more than a coin's flip worth of certainty. But there's also the far more insidious problem of the misclassification and or misunderstanding of disease, which can mislead researchers, healthcare professionals, and their patients into performing and undergoing harmful procedures without anyone realizing the harmful and sometimes deadly consequences they've wrought. For example, over the past 8 years, we've identified what is essentially a vast submerged iceberg of overdiagnosed and overtreated medical conditions, with the worst examples being common forms of breast, prostate, thyroid, and ovarian cancer. It was not until 2013 that the issue broke wide open when a National Cancer Institute commissioned expert panel acknowledged that early stage or stage 0 breast and prostate cancers are actually benign or indolent lesions of epithelial origin and should never have been and should never be termed carcinomas. Essentially, the NCI report revealed that millions have been wrongly diagnosed and treated for breast and prostate cancers over the past few decades, and that they never had the prostate's cancers over the past few decades that they never had. In the case of DCIS, about 1.3 million U.S. women were subjected to some combination of either mastectomy, lumpectomy, radiation, and chemotherapy over the last 30 years, even though their screen-detected condition had no symptoms, and left untreated would likely have never caused them any harm. And this does not even account for the radiobiological harms caused by X-ray mammography, which may have planted the seed of malignancy into the healthy breasts of millions of women in the name of prevention through early detection. The new study, titled Update on Medical Practices That Should Be Questioned in 2015, reviewed 910 articles published in 2014, of which 440 directly addressed medical overuse. 104 of these were selected as most relevant, with the 10 most influential articles selected by author consensus, and forming the basis for their 10-topic critique, which is divided into 3 sections: overdiagnosis, overtreatment, and methods to avoid medical overuse. So, my point in reading this article is, there's a couple things that that I've been thinking about on this topic, and one of them, and one very important part of this is that there are all kind of things that we can do naturally to keep ourselves healthy and to get back into balance. And so these things, these alternative or natural medical and health practices are not acknowledged or considered by most mainstream doctors nowadays. And so, that's a big part of what is left out of the equation. And so, really, our options are, if we have some kind of diagnosis, is that we can do whatever kind of pharmaceutical medicines that were offered, and sometimes surgeries, or we can basically do nothing. And so what I would like to say is that there's a whole lot outside of those three options that you actually can do, and that can make a big difference, and that there is evidence, scientific evidence, and experience in a lot of the natural medicine alternatives that are out there, and while they're not widely published by some of the big medical journals, it's not because they're ineffective. Or because the study, doesn't show a positive outcome. It's usually studies that are not funded by big companies, usually pharmaceutical companies. And they're not attached to researchers who are also tied to pharmaceutical companies. So those are basically the main things that I wanted to say about that topic. Basically, the overdiagnosis and just the lack of real scientific evidence that's out there, because anything. First of all, any study that is funded by someone who benefits from the outcome of the study, or is researched by someone who benefits from the outcome of the study, should be questionable right there. Not only that, but the journals that are publishing these studies should also be in question. Everything they publish should be in question when ties like that are found. And so, I've heard the argument of it's hard to find a good researcher who doesn't have ties to big pharma, for example, to do the type of research that's wanted. But at the same time, there should be no conflicts of interest when it comes to these kind of scientific studies, just period. So if a independent researcher cannot be funded to do a study, and another type of researcher, say a university researcher or someone that has funding to do a study, is the main way to get a study published, then that researcher shouldn't have financial ties to the companies that are going to benefit from the outcome of the study. And they should also be free to give their answer without it being having to be okayed or reviewed by the company that put up the money for the study. So if you're a pharmaceutical company and you're funding a study and you don't like the outcome, then you can put pressure to not have the article published, or to have some of the information omitted. And studies have been done on this as well, on what I'm talking about. So it's not like I'm just making this up out of thin air. But in any case, if we can't have just independent research because it does cost money, then it's a risk for a pharmaceutical company to to say have a study done on one of their medicines if they don't know for sure that the outcome is going to be favorable to them financially. So it is a risk for them to just to fund things like this and to hope for the best, and to hope that it's going to benefit them, financially, because they're in business to make money. That makes sense. But at the same time, we need research and science that tells us what's really going on. And if a researcher or a funder, a company, or a university or a medical journal can't be trusted to publish unbiased information,